So here we are in Tiverton, lovely Tiverton, and here we are at the parish church, and this is part of a video that is looking at Tiverton, Bickley and Silverton, and this is all to do with King Edward the Elder and also King Alfred and his son, his youngest son, called Ethelred. Now let me explain. When King Alfred died, he left a will, and he left land at Tiverton and also Silverton, which is several miles south of here. He left those plots of land to his youngest son called Ethelred. Now we don't know precisely where, but we can maybe think that it was the older places, and but we don't really know. The church here was built in 1073. There's a castle, but I think that was later as well, and obviously 1073 is quite old, and it might indicate that Ethelred's property and King Alfred, who also owned it before him, was in this area. That's possible. And it's also interesting because between here, Tiverton and Silverton, the two estates left to Ethelred in King Alfred's will, is a place called Bickley. Now Bickley turns up in 4 Anglo-Saxon charters issued by King Edward the Elder, who was King Alfred's other son, who, obviously Ethelred didn't become king, but King Edward the Elder did. And I find it intriguing that we've got 2 royal estates here at Tiverton, the other one at Silverton, and in between them is a place that King Edward the Elder was issuing charters. As always with charters, sometimes they are challenged, and sort of like these, some people think they were spurious, some people think they're genuine, but there are 4 of them, and it might have been the facts in them might be correct, even though they might have been later produced later. So it's worth thinking about. So here we are walking towards the wall at the back of the church, and you can see the river down there, and if we go over there, there's some remains of the castle back down to the river. By the way, it's probably just worth adding that just because King Alfred and his son Ethelred had an estate here isn't proof, obviously, that they were ever physically here, although I do think it's unlikely that they would have never come. So here we are at, I'll come a bit closer because I think we might get wind noise. Here we are at Silverton, and Silverton is about twice as far from Tiverton as Bickley is. And as I said, we're exploring Bickley, Silverton and Tiverton in relation to King Edward the Elder and King Alfred. And the reason why this is significant, unfortunately, people are not allowed in the church today on account of scaffolding. So next stop. So here we are at Bickley, and this is the place, or somewhere around here, that King Edward the Elder attested to about 4 charters. We can't say they're all genuine or they're genuine in their entirety. But they are all stated to in the text as coming from a place called Bickley, and that has been, by people far more knowledgeable than me, has been translated as Bickley. And there are 2 Bickleys in Devon, one here which is not far from Tiverton, and there's another one down near Plymouth, but it's more likely to be this Bickley because there's more to it. I mean, there's a Bickley castle. We're going to go there a bit later. I may not be doing any video there. Let's see, because we've got a private tour from the generosity of the people there. But also at Bickley, we've got this church, which you might just be able to make out. If you can't, it's up on the hill there. We went up there earlier, and
yeah, we got stuck in the mud.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's very slippy up there, and and it seems that they're having a funeral today, so we're not going to trouble them unless we manage to get back there later. But we are trying to get home before a storm comes in. Anyway, so
Dennis the Menace storm.
The reason why it's more likely to be this Bickley is not only because there seems to be more to it than the Bickley near Plymouth. Sorry, Bickley and Plymouth. But also because it seems to be more than a coincidence that in King Alfred's will he leaves an estate to his younger son Athelred, not far to the north of here at Tiverton and not far to the south of here.
The model railway place, too, if you're interested.
Yeah, shut at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's it. Right, so we're now in Cullompton, and Cullompton was yet another one of the places in King Alfred's will which was left to his youngest son Athelred, the other one being Silverton, or we think was Silverton based on its name, and also at Tiverton. Now, I didn't believe it myself when I first read it, but apparently Cullompton was a ville in the 100 of Silverton, and Silverton is a much smaller place now than Cullompton is. So I checked it out, and in the Liber Exoniensis, which is the Doomsday findings which ended up in Exeter Cathedral, it is actually listed as that, and a ville in the 100 of Silverton. And in the Liber Exoniensis, it's named as Colitona, and it's also, quite importantly, it's listed as having a church. Now, the reason why that is important is because it confirms that there was something here in Anglo-Saxon times other than just a farmstead or a village without a church. And it seems likely to me that a royal estate here, and there was a royal estate here because King Alfred left one to to his son Athelred in his will. It would have been associated with this church, because churches are often associated with royal estates. I don't mean the exact church here. The earliest part of this church is 15th century, but churches were often built on the sites of earlier churches. And there's quite a wide enclosure around here. If you have a look, if we just pan round, and I think this was probably the precinct of the church, maybe even in Saxon times, and that somewhere around here would have been the royal estate. In fact, the whole of Cullompton of that time might have been the royal estate. Obviously, Cullompton of that time would have been much smaller than it is now. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get into the church because it's locked. Sadly, many churches are nowadays. Cullompton, yes, named after the River Culm, which runs along down there somewhere. It was important before Saxon times because there was a Roman fort here, or even a couple of Roman forts, and they were, if I point roughly that way, there's a hill. I can't remember the name of it. There's a hill, and around the base of the hill and on top of the hill there was Roman settlement and a fort. So it was a significant place, and it's so a little bit more of a look around the precinct of the huge, actually, church here in St Andrews, by the way, Crediton. Sorry, not Crediton at all, Cullompton. Crediton is a different post. Lovely thatched cottages over there. Camera woman, if you were quick. And there we go. Starting to rain now, so be a hasty retreat. And there we are. There's the church up there. And this is the High Street, probably more associated with later medieval, and obviously onwards. As you see, the church there is set quite a way back. and I would suspect we're looking through where the royal estate would have been, although we have no idea of the size of it, or whether it was a whole sweeping area that covered Silverton as well.